One of the most difficult leagues that I've always struggled with when it comes to the Go Battle League has always been the Ultra League, and the reason for that is because the meta is extremely unforgiving and there's only certain Pokemon that are going to be viable. Well, I actually tried out a team that I surprisingly found to be very successful. That's what this video is going to be all about. Let's get right into it. Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Today we're going to be doing a bit of PvP strategy, considering that the Ultra League is considered one of the most difficult leagues when it comes to the Go Battle League. But there is a team that I tried out that did not require too much Stardust and Candy that I actually found to be very successful. This team consists of Venusaur as the opener, Charizard as the switch, and then we have Shadow Swampert as the closer. This team does pretty well against a lot of different other teams, but it is not a perfect team by any stretch, and of course it's going to struggle against certain meta teams. But I do think this team has a lot of potential, especially against a lot of players who are not prepared against it. Let's first go over every single one of the Pokemon on this team in detail so that you have a better understanding of why this team actually works. Let's start off with the opener for this team, which is going to be Venusaur. This Pokemon is a grass and poison type Pokemon. It has weaknesses against fire type, flying type, and ice type attacks. It also has a double resistance to grass type attacks and regular resistance to electric, fairy, fighting, and water type attacks. It's going to be weather boosted by sunny weather and cloudy weather, but that's not going to matter for PvP. Now, in terms of the base stats, it's going to have a base attack stat of 198, a base defense stat of 189, and a base stamina stat of 190. These stats are incredibly well-rounded. You could see that they're all around 190, which is something ideal for PvP. Now, for the rank 1 IVs for Venusaur, you will want one that is 0, 13, and 12 for the Great League, and 0, 14, and 14 for the Ultra League. Getting close to rank 1 IVs is going to be ideal for Venusaur, because you're going to be using it as an opener, and you will want to make sure it is as tanky as possible. Next, let's go over the move pool for Venusaur. In terms of the fast attacks, it can come with either Vine Whip and Razor Leaf. Vine Whip is going to be the clear favorite because of the insane amount of energy that it can generate, while also dealing a lot of grass type damage. Now in terms of the charge attacks, it can come with Frenzy Plant, Sludge Bomb, Petal Blizzard, and Solar Beam. Among all of these moves, it's going to be obvious that you will want Frenzy Plant, which is of course the Community Day exclusive move for Venusaur, as well as Sludge Bomb for the type coverage. These two moves are incredible. They deal an insane amount of damage at low energy costs, and they're not as clunky as both Petal Blizzard and Solar Beam. Next, let's go over the switch for this team, which is going to be Charizard. This Pokemon is a fire and flying type Pokemon. It's going to have a double weakness to rock type attacks and a regular weakness to electric and water type attacks. It's also going to have a double resistance to both grass type and bug type attacks and regular resistance to fairy, fighting, fire, ground, and steel type attacks. The base stats for Charizard are as follows. It's going to have a base attack stat of 223, a base defense stat of 173, and a base stamina stat of 186. The rank 1 IVs for Charizard is going to be 0, 15, and 13 for the Great League, and 0, 13, and 15 for the Ultra League. Now in terms of the moves that Charizard can come with, it has a plethora of different moves that you can go with. First of all, for the fast attacks, it has Wing Attack, Fire Spin, Air Slash, Ember, and Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath is of course the Community Day move for Charizard, but you will want to go with Wing Attack. The reason for that is because it generates an insane amount of energy, and the flying type damage is going to give you some extra type coverage. Now in terms of the charge attacks, it can come with Dragon Claw, Blast Burn, Overheat, Flamethrower, and Fire Blast. In terms of the charge attacks, you will want to go with Dragon Claw and Blast Burn. Both of these moves deal an insane amount of damage, and they are spammable, which means you're going to unleash a lot of charge attacks within a short period of time. Finally, let's go over the closer for this team, which is going to be Shadow Swampert. Now, you could also go with a regular Swampert, but for the sake of this team, I would go with Shadow Swampert for that extra damage. This Pokemon is a water and ground type Pokemon, which means it's going to have a double weakness to grass types, but it's also going to have a resistance to electric, fire, poison, steel, and rock type attacks. The base stats for this Pokemon include an attack stat of 208, a base defense stat of 175, and a base stamina stat of 225. Now keep in mind that with a Shadow buff, it's going to have a 20% increase to its attack damage, but a 20% decrease to its defense, so that's something you need to keep in mind. This Pokemon is basically going to be a glass cannon, but the idea is that you're going to have both of your opponent's shields down so that you can have Shadow Swampert just nuke them down. The rank 1 IVs for Shadow Swampert is going to be different from regular Swampert. It's going to be 0, 15, and 13 for the Great League, and 0, 15, and 15 for the Ultra League. Now in terms of the fast attacks that it can come with either Mud Shot or Water Gun. Between these two, Mud Shot is the clear favorite. On top of dealing a lot of damage thanks to a same type attack bonus, it's also going to generate an insane amount of energy that's going to allow you to unleash a lot of your charge attacks. The reason for this is because Mud Shot is one of the highest energy generating moves in the game, so you will definitely want to go with Mud Shot over Water Gun. Now, in terms of the charge attacks, it can come with either Hydro Cannon, Earthquake, Sludge Wave, Muddy Water, and Surf. The clear favorites are going to be Hydro Cannon and Earthquake. Both of them benefit from a same type attack bonus, and they deal an incredible amount of energy against a lot of Pokemon that are commonly found within the Ultra League. Alright, so when it comes to Venusaur, Charizard, and Shadow Swampert, all three of these Pokemon work really well in tandem together. Venusaur is a very powerful opener, considering that a lot of players tend to open up with Pokemon that have a tendency to be weak against it, for example, Swampert. But if your opponents catch you out with a Pokemon that counters Venusaur, then you can safely switch to Charizard and be able to counter it. Typically, it has worked well for me because when it comes to the lead Pokemon, it sets the stage for the rest of the battle, and when it comes to Venusaur, it either gets hard countered or it's going to be a hard counter, which your opponent is going to switch out to a Pokemon. And Charizard tends to do well against most other Pokemon, so I really do like this team. I think it works out really well. Now speaking of which, I think the secret weapon behind this team is definitely Charizard. For the longest time, this Pokemon has been really good for the Ultra League, and it's basically a staple to most teams. This Pokemon has a lot of versatility with its very diverse move pool, but it also deals an incredible amount of damage, which is going to make it a big threat. As long as you are spamming your charge attacks, you're going to back your opponents into a corner. Even if they bring a bunch of legendaries, typically a lot of those legendaries are weak against either Blast Burn or Dragon Claw, so there's going to be a lot of shield pressure, which you could use to have your other Pokemon finish out the battle. So yeah, overall, this team definitely works, but it's not a perfect team by any stretch. It's going to give you maybe a 60% or a 55% win rate, like you're going to win more than half of your battles, but in general, it's not going to be a massively staple team. It's going to do well, but it's not going to do absolutely phenomenal. That's going to be left up to the meta teams, but I really do think that if you do not have those meta Pokemon, this team can actually do you really well. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share my personal favorite Ultra League team that has given me a lot of success. What do you think about this particular team? And what team are you running the Ultra League with? Definitely share all of that down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to join my Patreon family, you're going to get the perk of being a permanent member of my friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel non-monetarily, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the following platforms. Alright, and that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.